Um, We have the applicant in the waiting room. I'll bring them over.
Yes, did you also print, yesterday's letter, which somehow not in front of you?
Yeah, yes. Sure, all
Can I begin my spiel for everyone?
Yes, you can.
Let's see. Hello, everyone. I am Maria Ortiz, co-chair of Housing, Health and Human Services. This is our December 2024 Housing, Health and Human Services Committee meeting. Hi, Katie. First, I want to say a reminder to all CD4 members that we're expected to attend in person unless you have a disability and or an extraordinary circumstance, and there must be quorum in person to conduct business. I'm making that short and sweet. I could go a little bit further with that. Second, to attendees of this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, where it will live forever. If this is your first meeting, please sign up to get updates about the meeting and about things that are happening in the community. Also, if this is your first meeting, the run of show is that first there's a presentation. And next, the committee members will make comments and ask questions. And finally, the meeting goes to the attendees. I see there's a couple of attendees and on the phone. If you want to speak when it's time for the attendees to speak, please raise your hand and you'll be brought over. And then the conversation comes back to committee and we make a decision about writing a resolution that is then voted on at the next full board. And that is it. And for December, I think, let's just go around the room and introduce ourselves. Maria Ortiz, co-chair.
Joe Restuccia, co-chair, Health, Housing, and Human Services.
Kevin Collins, committee member. Brent Danielle, same.
Katie Stokes, same.
Liam Buckley, same.
Pete Diaz, committee member.
Roberta Barnett, committee member.
Raul Larios, committee member.
And online, community board members.
Hi, Rachel Lee, community member.
And then,
You can go, Betty.
Betty McIntosh, committee.
Katie Savage, committee member.
Thank you. And I will allow Joe to take over from here.
And Rodney's just attending as a guest, right?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So, we have a, update tonight on 317, 319 West 35th Street. Remember, we met last night and approved the letter for the concept of the proposal, noting that we would have them come back with details and information tonight. We've had a little bit of confusion back and forth during the day, but I think we straightened it out about an hour ago. And Alvin Shine is here representing the owner. And if we could go through first, Alvin, the revised plans, you can put them up on the screen and describe the changes from the plans that were submitted to us last month, and then we'll talk about the broader issues with the development.
Alvin, I can share this presentation if that's easier for you.
Thank you.
And is there, I brought over, I asked Fisher to come over, I believe he accepted. I wasn't sure if there are more of your team that I need to bring over to the panelists.
I believe Eric Palatnik is out there. We're all in different locations.
Got it.
DC.
Yeah,
We got it.
he's coming over now.
And is Fisher there?
I brought over Fisher, I believe so, I can try again.
Just letting you know I could hear you and see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fisher, you have to accept as being a panelist. Yep, okay, great.
Anyone else?
Do you have Leo's? His email address is QIAOYU.
Yep, I got that.
Okay, I think we have everybody.
Great.
Okay,
Jesse will share the revised plans now first.
right.
Just give him a moment.
Go ahead. Tell me when you're ready.
Aye.
Okay. We all ready?
That's not the plans, though, we need the plans.
No, I know, I'm,
Okay, gotcha, understood.
Oh, okay, this is what.
It's
I'm
sequential,
sorry, this is what-
everything is there.
All right, I
Yeah.
apologize, this is what Alvin sent me just earlier, so you were talking about with the, from the 14th,
No, it's the plans they sent just
4 hours ago?
4 hours ago. Or 3 hours ago, it's the plans we got at.
No, I sent an update a couple of hours
No, an
ago.
update, the update plans we just got.
Okay, I have the ones I forwarded you from the November 14th, if there's new plans, I'll.
I got plans, I'll tell you what the time is on the email.
Give me a moment.
No, but this looks correct. This is what I sent today.
Right, but the actual plans, Alvin, we got a different version, I understand.
are part of this.
They're part of that, okay.
There are plans that follow this.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, go to the end.
If
All
I get on
right.
page 18.
Excellent, yes.
There we go, okay.
Yes,
I'd like to start on the page 1, so we could walk through. And then go to the plans after that.
Can we make it a little bigger for those of us with vision issues?
This is, this is full screen, so I don't know.
no, you close the bookmark portion, and the other side too.
Is it in the
There, that's it.
Dropbox?
There you go. And now you can make that bigger, right? No, that's it, you got it. I do this all the time. Alvin, we're very happy to see things, okay?
Okay. So, and Jesse sent me a list of questions. I responded via email. If I forget any of my answers, because I don't have the list in front of me, I'm sure you'll remind me.
We'll ask
But-
you to respond.
Okay, so the first thing is, the developer is negotiating with the property next door to purchase sufficient development rights so that all the floor area will be legalized, either as residential or hotel. So there should not be any concern about closing up hotel rooms or anything like that.
So Alvin, can you give us the address of that property?
I don't have it in front of me. I'll follow up. I don't have the notes.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's an adjacent property.
Well, yes, but just wanting to know what it is, and then also.
Yes,
No, it's fine, and the second part.
I'll get
is-
that to you after the meeting, okay?
Right, and can you quantify the amount of square footage?
I will do so as well, but it's sufficient for what we need.
Right, we want it quantified, so when we give you a final support letter, it's
Yeah, we'll
all
make it.
spelled out. And then the last piece is the time frame for making that, or going to that contract of sale.
Right, well, we're waiting for the contract. We have an LOI and we're waiting for a contract, and then after that, we, prepare the zoning documents, get it funded and closed, but it'll take, it normally takes 90 days or so from
No,
this to closing.
could you just describe for the committee, for other people who have not purchased development rights, what that process is, that would be helpful.
Okay. So the way it works is that you can transfer development rights from one property to another by a procedure that's permitted in New York City. First, it has to be adjoining, either on the either side or by the backyards. It can't be remote property unless they're daisy chained somehow, but we don't have to get into that. It's going to be an adjoining property. The adjoining property has to be what's called underbuilt, meaning it's not fully built for what's permitted for zoning. So if, let's say, by example, the adjoining property is allowed to have 40,000 square feet of floor area and it has built 30,000, it could transfer 10,000 of the unused space to an adjoining property. And then this building, that's what we're going to be doing. We will be acquiring the development rights from an adjoining property so that additional floor area can be placed in the residential/hotel building. In order to do so, there are a bunch of legal documents that need to be prepared for this to happen, one of which is called the ZELDA, which is Zoning Lot Development Agreement. And what that does is essentially allocates the excess floor area from the adjoining property to this property. When that gets recorded on ACRIS, then it's legal and the certificate occupancy can be amended to provide full floor, the actual floor area, which includes the transfer development rights.
But you will go through the Department of Buildings to do the amendment to the plans. And
Yes.
It's a supporting document that allows you to get that amendment approved.
That is correct.
Alvin, can I ask you a question about the, what's up on the screen in front of us right now about
Yeah.
the division of the one-bedroom studios, et cetera?
Yeah.
I don't have last month's presentation in front of me for comparison purposes.
Mhm.
I remember us discussing how lovely it would be to have more two bedrooms. And my recollection is there was one last month, and so now I see two. Is that right? Is
But
one?
yeah, but you have
added?
more one bedrooms too. This was a puzzle to make it fit. You have fewer larger apartments now. It's 4 studios, 4 one bedrooms, and two bedrooms.
Can I restate
I'm
that?
sorry,
for you?
say that, Alvin?
You didn't say it right.
4
We have.
Yeah, 4
compared
studios.
to-
4 one bedrooms, and 2 bedrooms.
We have fewer apartments, but we have more larger apartments,
Correct.
less studios and more ones and twos.
Which is what we asked for.
Exactly.
That's what you asked for. Before we had it was like 10 studios or something. We don't have that anymore. And the square footages of the units are big. If you look on the right side, you have 1 bedroom size 728, 729. HPD minimum is 575. You have studios 476 and 575. HPD minimum is 400. You have 2 bedrooms of 1,015 feet. HPD minimum size is 775. So these are very nice sized units.
No, we had 11 studios before. 1
Sorry?
bedroom and 2 one bedrooms. The new mix.
Mhm,
Vastly
yes.
improved.
Yeah, so but it sounds like what we've gone from, if I'm correct, is that we've gone from 14 homes to 10. Is that it?
Yes.
Yes,
Same
but with
square
more
footage,
bedrooms.
though. Same square footage,
Yeah.
merely redistributed
Yeah.
by the unit.
No, yeah, I do recall that that's what we asked for. I guess I was hoping we wouldn't lose 4 homes.
Yeah.
You know, that maybe some of the extra square footage that you're getting or buying could be
Yeah,
used to make
the
sure.
problem is there are not a lot of windows here, and you have to have windows. You know, it's an interior block. And in order to have more bedrooms, you need more windows, and we don't have the windows.
When we get to the plans, you can explain that, because I looked at them very
Right.
briefly before and realized that it's driven by the exposures.
But at the last meeting, there was a specific statement from this committee
Yeah.
that fewer apartments would be acceptable as long as there were larger apartments or more bedroom apartments.
Yeah, we
That's
That's
definitely
what we could
wanted more.
accomplish.
Yeah.
Alvin, may I ask a question before you proceed regarding these bedrooms? Did you say that the HPD minimum is 575 square feet for 1 bedroom?
No, 575.
575. So the fact that there are something like 175 more for these bedrooms, is that just worked out that way, or?
It just worked out that way. It's again, we have this, they wanted to make decent apartments. They didn't go by the HPD minimum, but making more rooms was not possible because of lack of windows. So you have bigger rooms and bigger apartments.
So we frequently find a role in these kind of affordable housing projects, the developments. Sometimes it is the HPD minimums that drive everything. Frequently, the HPD minimums for affordable housing are larger than the market rate units. So we see stuff lined up in apartment lines because you have to make them all the same thing. They could not get approval because there's a technical division of HPD that does review of this and verifies that every minimum is met, there's minimum room widths. There's very specific things. And then the big thing they will do as part of, they go further, is that every single unit must meet ADA requirements exactly. If they do not, they will be required to move a toilet half an inch here or there. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So it's very much driven by a set of requirements.
So Alvin, I noticed that one of your studios is the HPD minimum of a one bedroom.
Yes, every one
And-
bedroom, yes.
So I guess
But in
I'm
order
just
to put a
wondering-
bedroom in, you need another window, which we don't have. That's why it's a studio.
Yeah, got it. Okay,
Yeah, and I
thank you.
think, like Sadie, Katie, that's frequently the buildings that I've done.
Yeah.
A
Mhm.
studio could be from X to Y because of the configuration. And you're constantly dealing with exposure.
Hi, Alvin. Given that you've changed the configurations of the units, and you have less units, will the estimated cost be the same or reduced accordingly? For example,
Right.
you had more bathrooms and
Mhm.
the installation of the bathroom doors was like 42,000 for 14 doors. That's $3,000 per door. So now you have
Where's that come from?
one of the specs that you said that I saw. Am I correct?
I think let's stay on this first, and he's gonna get to some information about costs going down, right?
All right.
Right, Alvin, you have full costs going down, right? Alvin, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I didn't follow the question about cost.
Yeah.
I'm not aware. I don't know what the cost is. And I don't want to tell you something that I don't know. So,
Why don't you stay on this presentation, Pete, let's come back to it and you'll see what the
Mhm.
reference is.
No, but that's an interesting question.
Yeah. Go to the next section, please, Jesse, if you're down. Oh, there we go.
so this is a computation of all the square footage that is residential. So I guess you can ask, what's the point of this? The point of this is that we had what was replaced was an old law tenement building. And you know what they look like, 4 on a floor with a stair in the middle and no common area to speak of. This is a different arrangement. You have additional residential square footage for hallways, and all the other areas shown here that are part of residential square footage. So the true residential square footage is the bottom line, 11,274.
So, I would just note, I don't think the group's gonna oppose it, but the 11,274, I believe, is less than existed prior for both buildings. And that's fine because we are getting fully renovated, really constructed apartments as opposed to old law tenement type units or renovated units. And because this project has had a lot of ups and downs, as long as we are understanding what it is, the 3 elevators you're referring to are not part of the project. So that's a problem. You should take that out.
That's what I was confused by.
Well,
There's only 1 elevator and then the second one is for the stretcher. So it's not 3 involved in the residential portion, correct?
what do we have here? 3.
You say 3 elevators. The
right.
plan that I saw show a new residential elevator and then
Right.
one that's only used for emergencies for the stretcher,
Mhm.
right? So I wouldn't describe.
Right,
it
there's
as-
there's one elevator that would be used for the residential side.
Right, because the other one is really an elevator for the
That's
hotel, that is access for emergencies. So I'm gonna make the assumption that it's not 235 square feet, that'd be a very large elevator.
There would be an adjustment for that, you're correct.
Moving on.
Just one more question, and bike storage, that's just people's information that's required now in all the buildings. But we have some questions when we get to the actual plans, okay?
And I assume that the bike storage isn't shared with the other. This
No,
is our own bike
it's
storage.
exclusive for the residential tenants. Nobody in the hotel is gonna use it.
Okay,
All right, moving on, Alvin.
Go ahead. Okay, you had asked for representation as what the finish is. The architect here had worked on a similar job on West 38th Street, and they're gonna replicate the finishes there, and this is what the kitchen there looks like. Which my view is pretty good. You don't usually see affordable units like this.
so would it be helpful as you go through this, in your letter you get to us as a commitment letter to
Mhm.
call these out one by one as we have in our questionnaire. So it'll
Sure.
say, tile, backsplash, whatever, XYZ type, countertop XYZ type, faucet XYZ type, that's we have normally in the questionnaire, and that gets in the commitment letter. It does help us just to see things, it helps us quickly.
Sure,
But the detail must be in the commitment letter.
we can do that.
It's all you.
You can scroll down to the next picture, just to go
It's
through.
all the resolutions.
So this is what the bathroom looks like. Nicely tiled bathroom.
And the same thing there, you'd run it out, same with the items are, right? And am I looking, I can't quite see tile in those walls. Is that not tile?
It's time.
It doesn't play in the photos, so you know.
Yeah.
We're seeing
Well,
it,
yeah,
it looks like yellow paint, right?
I think if you saw it,
On the computer.
yeah, from the monitor, you'd probably see it
Well,
better.
okay, we'll call out the
Through
finishes.
projector. Yeah, through the projector, it kind of gets washed out.
So you're testing there's tile.
Yes.
And that's obviously furniture is not being provided, but this is what a bedroom would look.
And so then there are manufactured floors throughout, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And
Go ahead.
it just looked like there were balconies or something there, or
It's-
are they? at
It's
least-
not that,
Yeah,
he took pictures of a
okay.
different property for representation.
And the windows, just so we're clear, they're not floor to ceiling in this building,
No,
so they are.
The smaller windows. Yes.
Got it.
they're the
Okay.
tenement recreation windows we saw in our list.
Okay.
Yes, that's next thing. That's gonna be much smaller. This is the cellar plan.
Yeah, it's a
Can you start
cellar.
with that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what we need.
I don't
To
think
go
we
over
need
here.
that, yeah, all right.
We can go to the next one.
First floor, there we go.
Okay, you pull it up a little. Okay,
Okay, now you have the wrong set of plans again, Alan.
why is it wrong?
These are not the ones you sent to us at 548.5. The ones that I have in front of me that were sent have a residential elevator, and that's not the ones that are here.
These are the plans that I have. This is what I sent.
Nope, we got a different one.
In what
So,
way?
This is what I sent on 545.
Okay, hold on a second. I just saw these. Oh, I have here.
So Alvin, on the screen that we're looking at, can you point out to us or tell us where the residential elevator is?
Yes. So the yellow area is the residential lobby. Okay, and let me explain what this shows. They cannot give us 100% dedicated elevator to the residential section. What they can do is, let me please finish. What they can do, as you'll see here, is have a two-door system on the elevator so that the residential tenants can call the elevator from their lobby and it will open for them. Anyone getting, hotel tenants can also enter the elevator to go to their floors, but there will be a key card system so that only when you enter in this door, it will only open on the residential floors. And so in other words, only the residential tenants can enter from here and call out a residential floor. So that will be the security system. This system is done in mixed use buildings. We're not inventing it. And it has been done in other locations. We would love to provide another elevator for the tenants only, but it's not feasible and they can't reduce the number of elevators from 3 to 2. It just simply cannot be done. There won't be enough elevator capacity for the hotel.
Do you not have the plans that were sent earlier in the day? Because I saw a set of plans on the elevator end. I'm trying to find it right now.
This is the only plan I have, Joe. I don't have a plan that shows a dedicated.
I think I spoke to your client.
This is what was provided for me. This is the only plan I have. But we'll discuss it. But we discussed what I just said, is that they cannot have a fully dedicated elevator. Just for 10 units.
If I could ask you a question, so the hotel residents and the apartment residents could enter the elevator at the same time,
Correct.
and one
No.
gets out.
They wouldn't enter at the same time. It would be a call system. Either it opens into the hotel lobby or it opens into the residential lobby. one or the other, but not both at the same time.
So to clarify, if you're a resident, you enter into the lobby, you go in, your trip will not be interrupted at any point by a hotel a client, a person pressing the button for them. The
Right, it would
elevator
be locked out.
Would
It's locked out on one side or the other.
be locked out. It would go to the residential floor, open up, the resident will leave, and then once that trip is completed, it will open up to.
Yeah, it goes back down to the lobby, and then the first one to hit the button, that's where the door hits.
Right, so the only downside slightly, right, I mean, I'm not saying the only downside, a downside would be obviously, it's like delay, obviously, if like, you know.
But there are two other elevators for the hotel as well,
I need to
so.
report to the committee and to you as the representative. At 3:37 PM today, we received an email from your client. That email has a set of plans attached in it that shows 3 elevators in the back and a new residential elevator in the front with a shortened lobby. That is in front of me right now.
Okay, I'll have to discuss, that was never sent to me, I
Well,
can't
the
speak
point
to
is that I am looking at it and I'm very concerned that your client has sent us information that we thought resolved something. We have already, in our last discussion, rejected the idea of a mixed elevator. We did not say that the key system would work. And therefore, the response was, and I'll just pass this around so you can see it, I'm sorry. Here is a new elevator. And it says residential lobby and elevator. So I'm just saying, you should look at it.
Forward the email.
Yeah, I will, I'll do that right now. Yeah.
So
I'll send it
then-
to you, the extended, right?
I forwarded to Alan as well.
But
I wish I had a smart answer to tell you, but I'm gonna
No,
have to.
I know you don't, but the more important thing is,
Mhm.
if you, I'm gonna send it to Jesse, he'll send it around, that's good. Alan, the issue here is, it's not about, if someone's interrupted or not interrupted. Someone is in that elevator and they are coming down or going up. Someone gets off and they can enter the elevator and they are sharing a residential, a hotel tenant could be sharing an elevator with a residential tenant.
No, that's not the way it works. You can't open both doors at the same time. It's either opened on one side or on the other. If it's called by a residential tenant, the hotel side is locked out until the car reaches that floor and heads back down to the lobby.
We had the same issue with another building on West 57th Street, in which that was shown that way to begin with, and we had negotiated to have a single elevator for the residential portion, which was a cure for harassment versus the hotel portion. I think, given the fact that your client has sent us a plan showing this, we'd ask you to go back and look at it and have a discussion with them.
It'll be news to me when I see it, because this is the only plan that I've seen, but I will look at, okay?
And Alvin, I don't know the hotel or I'm sorry, elevator rules in general. But let's say that this new plan that you haven't seen yet has a residential elevator. Is a residential elevator required to be able to fit a stretcher, and all that stuff?
Yes.
Is it required?
You need
So
one in
then-
the building. You need one in the building, so.
And when you say the building, you mean the residential side and
No,
then one?
No, the entire building.
Yeah, but I guess that's what
Center
I'm trying
one.
to get at,
So I think I'm clarifying this. Alan, there are plans sent to this office on the 14th of November, which I believe is what Joe is referring to. Which was the last updated plans we got. So I think what you sent us today is updated, more updated. But the confusion is what we got sent in on the 14th of November, which then we forwarded to the co-chairs of the committee.
Are you referring to what we presented at our last meeting?
No, it was after the presentation. Then a email was sent on the 14th of November, which had revised elevator plans and a new unit matrix breakdown. which is what you got, the unit count is correct, it matches what you're presenting today, but the plans were not, are different.
And what
In
it
terms of the elevator.
Yeah, and what it annotated was that there was a residential elevator, and then there was the stretcher elevator, which was shared for emergencies by hotel and residential, which for emergencies, that makes perfect sense.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
So anyway, we could, I mean, there's other stuff to talk about, right? Do you want-
Yes.
Alvin, if I could ask a question. Full occupancy, how many hotel occupants would be, if it was 100%?
I'm sorry, I didn't know what you said.
If there was 100%,
How many rooms? How many rooms?
well, there's more than one person, but how many rooms for hotels?
I don't know how many rooms are in the hotel. There's a lot of rooms there.
Don't know how many rooms.
Uh,
Okay, let me just keep going.
Please, yes,
Can you approximate in your own property how many rooms you envision building?
they're built.
So how many do you have?
The client is on, can they answer that question? Alvin is here to talk about the affordable housing application.
Well.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I can talk. We have 140 rooms in the hotel.
How many?
140.
140 rooms, the relation.
140.
140, thank you. The
And
relation-
also the elevator in the middle, the plan that we sent out on November 14. That one is not feasible because we need to cut a big slab in the middle of the building.
The relation.
We
of
have a
that question-
conflict with the beams connect to the shear walls, which my structural engineer denied. So we went back to the elevator company and we were proposing these 2 openings on the first floor.
Thank you. The relation of that question is, if it's a shared elevator and it can open both ways, if you have 140 hotel guests and 10 residents, and I don't know if it's operating on first come, first served basis,
Demand.
if there's demand,
Oh,
you could have an issue there with one being overrun by the other.
Right, but there are 2 other elevators on the hotel side as well. It's not just one elevator for 140
what
rooms.
Kevin's saying is, there's a greater demand with 140 rooms than the 14 apartments, and that could, how this is set up, cause a long wait for residential tenants to get their elevator. Potentially, right. I think, let's just leave it at this, because you've said what it
I have a
is.
question too.
Okay, yes, Pete.
In regards to the hotel, do you have a convention room, in the upper floors?
It's just a regular-
I'm sorry, can you say that again? What room?
Is there a convention
A
room in the
convention room, in terms of, guests or, conventions or whatever.
You mean like an event space?
Yeah, an event space, yeah. And as you know, that can be a problem when you have a lot of,
Convention room.
conventions.
No, we're asking, are there any other spaces besides hotel rooms?
Oh, no, we don't.
On your floors?
Okay.
No, it's a budget hotel, only additional spaces, this ground floor space that talked about as community facility, and the revised plans doesn't show that.
And there are 2 other elevators?
There are 3 elevators
2.
total.
Yeah.
For the hotel and.
No.
No.
There are 3 elevators altogether.
In the current plan, there are 3 elevators, one is shared
Right.
with the residential.
And 2 dedicated to the hotel.
Wait, but in the plans you said you got this afternoon, are there now 4? Because there were 3 in the back and 1 in the
That's right.
front.
In the plans we saw from November 14th, which were forwarded again today, showed 3 hotel elevators dedicated and 1 residential elevator, just with residential floors. And then Mr. Leo just responded saying it's a structural issue. Well, we're gonna ask you to look at that further because this is not.
So, Joe, my thought is that we only can opine on what we know,
Mhm.
but we also can point out that there are questions of whether or not that's the full information. And so I think we should just have them present whatever it is,
That's right.
and we will opine on that.
That's absolutely way to go. But any other questions about this? I think
Let me just make one other comment about the concern that 140 units, 140 hotel rooms might monopolize that elevator. The call buttons on the hotel side can be prioritized to first call down 1 or 2 of the sole hotel cars, so that the 3rd car would be the last to be called, if you follow what I mean. So there would be distribution of hotel use weighted towards the top 2 elevators, and not towards the bottom.
I just want to know, I think this is an issue we have to discuss further and we'll get back to you on it.
Okay.
Moving on.
No, stay
No,
for a moment.
okay.
The next one is bicycle storage. So that meets the requirements for this size, number of units. Alan,
That's what I'm told, yes. It is actually exceeds it because you're supposed to provide bicycle storage for at least 50% of the units. I believe there's gonna be room for 8 bikes here out of 10 units, so it exceeds.
understood. If you can just detail that, that helps us. Those are the questions you always ask in these things.
Right.
Just detail what it is.
Is there a tenant charge for to use the bicycle storage?
No charge.
All right, thank you.
We'll note that down. And for package storage, how is that accessed?
That's a detail we haven't figured out yet. We just know where it's gonna be, but we'll figure it out.
Thank you.
And Joe, did you say that the community room has disappeared?
On this plan, now it shows that this is hotel support space, and it was a community facility before.
Oh, right.
I just think we'll come back to it. Let's go through the full building and then get to the details. Can you show us the next floor? You can see it bigger now. There we go. That's it.
Okay, so they're colored blue or green. And you can see the layouts on this floor.
The greens are the 1 bedrooms, the studios are blue. Is that correct?
That's the way it looks to me. You see, again, these are large studios with, windows, legal windows on the side. And there's also windows in the back.
But there's only windows facing front and back. Nothing on the side. Those are structural elements.
Yeah, there's nothing, no opening there that you can get a window. The legal light is actually in the back, either back or front.
And am I correct to note that now there are washer dryers in each unit in the closet?
If that's what you see on the plan, that's what we provided.
I'm asking for you to confirm.
All right.
We will confirm that.
Yeah, isn't the architect on the line? Can you confirm that?
Mm-hmm.
Can you confirm that there are washer dryers in each unit?
Leo, you're there?
Yes.
Washers and dryers? Okay. Are you confirming that?
We're sorry.
We can have a wash and dryers in each unit.
Okay. Okay, he's confirming that.
Moving on.
Okay. So that second floor has 2 1-bedrooms and 2 studios. We're on the 3rd floor now, is that correct?
Yep.
You have to move them over to. Got it. And this is 2 1-bedrooms.
These are 1 bedroom.
What's the security, how are the fire doors managed here? So the hotel guests cannot get into the residential floors? How's that secured?
Yeah. Stairs, right? Stairs.
The fire stairs are top and bottom in the middle, top and bottom of the yellow.
And they're separate.
No, they're entirely one building. Alvin,
Well, if it's legal, they could provide that there's no entry from the fire stair into the residential floors, just an exit. We'll look, in other words, they'd be locked out from the stair. Their stairs are
I don't think
intended
it
for
can be locked out.
they can't be locked out because.
You
there's
cannot use a fire stair. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, then do we just ask you then, how do we manage security between hotel floors and residential floors? And you don't have to answer, we just ask you this is a question. Part of this is our discovery.
Okay, we'll have to get an answer to that. It's too technical, beyond my pay grade.
Then I see there's a refuse room on every floor also, is that correct? And are those chutes or just rooms?
Those are chutes.
Okay. Leo, where does the bulk trash go when someone has to put out something that is larger? How does that work?
Large packages, large boxes, I mean.
A sofa.
Yeah, we got taken down by the elevator.
And how will that happen? will there be, is there, how does it manage in this mixed-use building? How are the public areas clean on the residential? How is the garbage managed in the residential? I have to get rid of my sofa, I bought a new one, how is that managed? Could you give us some detail on that?
Okay.
Oh, okay, not tonight, right.
It sounds like
Yeah,
nothing-
not tonight. Yeah.
Oh, fine, it's fine, just
they can take notes.
so I encourage the members to think about the functionality and how we're this working. Okay, let's go up to the next floor then. So this floor has a studio and 1 2-bedroom.
Right.
And what number of floor is this?
So work backwards. We started at 1, 2, 3, 4, 4th floor.
Okay. And our next is and our final residential floor is 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the exact same layout from 4 and 5.
They're the same.
It's a studio and a 2.
Correct. All the windows in the front.
What is that mechanical room? Not the large one, and large ones in the back. What is the mechanical room in the center off the hallway? Just below the stair on top.
Can you circle out which location you're talking to?
Yes, the eastern, on the top of the drawing, right there. See where the cursor is right there. What is that?
We have water heaters in there.
Water heaters for the entire building or just the residential?
For the entire building. On the left side, yeah.
Okay. So then another question for you to answer subsequently is, when you have a lot of, obviously with mechanical equipment, you'll have to do maintenance. How does that work with the residential floors? So how do you provide security again to the residential floors when you're accessing the mechanical rooms off the public hall of the residential buildings, or the residential floors? I know you have the answer, I'm just bringing this up to your attention. And how do you provide
Okay.
security?
But mechanical is not open to public.
I know, I live there and a bunch of people are coming in to deal with hot water heaters. And all of a
Okay.
sudden, a room is open, people are walking around, I don't know what it is, I live there. I walk out.
But
put my
But Joe,
garbage
you
out.
always have mechanics in a residential building fixing the elevator or something else. It's not unusual.
No, it's the scale here. It's not, this is not the scale of a residential building. Those would be someplace else, cellar or roof. They would not be on a residential floor to this degree. And I'm certain with a hotel, you would have lots of maintenance things that happen. It's just normal. Again, a question for you.
I'm sorry, this hallway, one goes to the elevator and one goes to the stairs, is that correct?
There's a stair on the top of the drawing. It goes, right, the stair on the bottom of the drawing. There are 2 sets of fire stairs here. All right.
So,
And those stairs continue all the way up through the building to the roof. And on the back, JD, you see the 3 elevators. They show 2 of them closed off with no doors on this drawing, and they show 1 on the bottom with a door. Okay. Committee, any other questions so far?
I do see a problem with that elevator, because down on the ground level floor, it shows an entrance on this side, not on that side.
Right. In other words, the elevator that on one floor would open only on one side. On the other,
But that's the hotel side, isn't it?
no, on the ground floor, it showed it opening from the residential lobby. Can you go back to the first one, Dorothy?
Yeah, but Rebel's point is that on the upper floors, it's not opening
Right.
in the same direction as the lobby, it's opening in the direction of the hotel.
Right.
Right, because it's
Not-
exiting onto the residential hallway on those floors.
Yeah, Raul.
But
having
it
an
doesn't
elevator
mean that the
floor is
hotel
not-
tenants can exit onto those floors.
In other words, you can have an elevator that has a different configuration on the ground floor, or upper floors.
But upper floor, all right.
So see, here it shows two entrances, right?
Right.
From each direction. But on the upper floors, it does not show. It only shows one in and out.
Right.
I guess,
If you're entering on the hotel side, you're not gonna be able to exit onto a residential floor. It'll take you above the residential floor.
Okay. Next portion of your presentation.
I think that's it.
Okay, so I'll just go through no, there's one more thing, and that is mechanical systems and the acoustical separation and how we're gonna deal with that issue for the residential units. That's what we raised in the letter.
Right, discuss with Leo, he said that we will have specs on that once the plan has been finalized here. We'll get specs on what kind of insulation or soundproofing is needed.
Right, so normally what it is, and you wrote in your email, we get an acoustic report. The board is very familiar on seeing those because of our
Right.
business licenses committee gets separation between residential and commercial. Anything else? Oh, the thing that is not noted here, you noted before, all the units are 80% of AMIs. Sorry, Eric, different percentages of AMI. Any further thoughts on that?
No, because HPD hasn't taken any position yet, so we can't tell you what that's gonna be.
Yeah, but I think our board is taking a position, so we can move forward and take a position tonight.
So we're not agreeing to 80% AMI because
I didn't say you were. I'm just saying that
Okay.
we're gonna take a position. We'll take a position on some AMI. We don't know what it is yet.
Okay.
Betty?
Yeah, maybe you've hashed this out already, but when I looked at the plans today and what was affordable and the size of the apartments, it looked like so many were studios, and it seemed like it ought to have more larger ones than studios. It seemed inequitable, kind of.
It's only
Betty,
4 container studio.
Yeah, Betty, I think you're looking at an older plan at this point, because new plans were sent as of today at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, which did not, actually 5 in the afternoon. So they did not get out to the whole committee. So
is the number of affordable units now has larger apartments?
It's gone down from 14 to 10, and it's gone down from 11 studios to the new breakdown, sorry. 4 studios?
Yeah, 4 studios, 4 1-bedrooms and 2 2-bedrooms.
Right.
For the affordable units.
Yeah, they're all affordable.
So it's a little more equitable.
Yes. And then Betty, also, remember, there's only affordable units and hotel rooms. There are no market rate units in this building.
Let me just say a little bit about 80% AMI in this case. I understand where you're coming from. You wanted to equate it to.
No. We haven't even, don't worry, we haven't taken a position, so don't get your.
Okay. No, but the point I want to make is that once you fix an AMI, the rent applies whether the apartment is 400 feet or 800 feet of the same unit type. These are oversized units for their type. And from our point of view, it would be uneconomical from the developer's point of view to carry large units with small unit rent. And that's the
No,
issue.
you don't mean small, you don't mean small unit, you mean small AMI rent.
Yes,
Lower
large
AMI.
units with small AMI, correct.
Right, so Alvin, we're looking up, as we have our discussion, we supported a very different set of AMIs before, we modified that today, but it was toward the higher end to address that very need in the 2 projects originally, so we're very familiar with that.
Okay, great.
I want to go around the room and just go to some questions and then we can settle. Roll questions from what we've heard so far.
well, I certainly would like to see an improvement on or a clarification on the elevator situation. And, no, and everything else looks good.
Robert.
So I believe you spoke about needing to take a chunk or almost like a central piece out of the building for structural reasons. Firstly, I was wondering if you could expand upon that. Two, does that change the amount of residential floor area that you will ultimately have? And if so, does that change some of your needs with regard to the development rights? And ultimately, what does this do to access in hallways and square footage within units?
Are you talking about the elevator in the middle?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
it affects the hallways, and it's gonna decrease the square feet of the room.
It didn't seem
Plus,
that,
my
it seemed
structural
that,
engineer. Yeah, sorry.
The plans you showed on November 14th, they basically shrunk the hallways.
Yeah.
Because the hallways are very long and circuitous to get back. And it showed the units kind of working around it. I was kind of impressed that they came up with this because it looked like it was functional.
Did you not just say they reduced the unit size, but that's reflected in tonight's presentation?
Tonight does not show reduced unit size, shows expanded unit size.
But it does show the taking out of the space for structural reasons that was described by the owner.
What he was describing is that they would have to take out space to accommodate a fourth elevator. But that's not what the plan is showing.
Yeah, because the concrete is already poured, so we need to open a big opening in the middle of the building, and it might castle my and it's also in the middle of my beams and right next to the column.
Okay, and we don't have plans that show the need for that floor or that fourth bay and what that will ultimately do to the
Apartments.
Yeah.
We do, nice.
We do,
Jesse's
that's
right.
what, it's, so there are 4 bays in that.
Yeah, and this actually,
Okay.
I
mean, I think this is
right,
clearly a working session that has to happen.
this is a working session.
Right, so why don't we?
That's
I mean,
right.
So you took the words out of my mouth. What's my next?
Yes, you were. No, Bertie, have more?
No, that, I just wanted to clarify what, that was,
Because I do show when you see them, the elevator between 2 structural columns, not in the middle of the beam, it's between 2 columns, yes.
So at this point, this sounds like a useless exercise because the owner has not worked out all of the problems. We're hearing that they tried and that they still don't have solutions. And again, despite what we may have in our inbox or outbox, it isn't clear at all from anyone that's presenting about what path they're moving forward. I don't know how we can opine on what we don't know, since we've already opined very clearly based on a presentation that seemed a lot more straightforward last time. We came up with a pretty clear position, and I think until we actually have the next steps, I don't know why we're commenting.
Well, I think what we could do though, some things have gotten settled. They've said that they're requiring the development rights, that they have a letter of intent on it, and they're going through a process. That is a move ahead, because at least it means it's not closing off hotel rooms, which everyone's skeptical of. That's a good thing, right? They have said they're gonna commission an acoustical study, and that could be submitted. That's another.
So with all due respect, the reason why I'm saying that is because we're hearing very conflicting things, both from representation for this owner and the folks that are actually building it, which means this is a moving target and it could change. And so while you have been told that there are movements forward, we don't know what movements are gonna move us back. And that's all I'm saying, is that
We would need to request all this in writing to get clarity as to what's settled and what's not, right? No, Pete?
So we believe we answered all of your questions, that we will provide the additional detail that's been asked. The question of the elevator, as Leo explains, it's from the structural engineer that it's not feasible to break new holes in the slab to drop a new elevator. I think that is what he's trying to express. That is,
He's expressed
it's not feasible.
There's a question of feasibility versus cost. And I think everything is always feasible, it's how much it costs in the end. Pete, you have questions?
My questions are generally regarding the cost of all the project itself. You have on the old, the plans that you have here, it says scheduled value. Can you please explain what that means? Is that cost or is that market? I don't
Pete,
quite
refer
understand.
to what document you're talking about.
The 19, this is the estimated cost,
This is the
continuation sheet. AIA document, G702, where do I get?
What is that?
Is that in the Dropbox?
Yeah, I got the full Dropbox.
Okay.
We're gonna find it, so you're not referring to.
Do you know which number the document is, right?
One of the first emails that Jesse sent us regarding the materials.
Oh, is it on the checklist?
It's on the checklist, that was a mistake they made. Because they put in dollar values as opposed to items. So that we're starting to correct.
All right, because
It doesn't, all of that honestly is incorrect.
it should be.
That's incorrect.
Because if you're reducing the 14 units to 10, that's a drastic change in cost.
No, those things were completely incorrect to begin with.
Okay, that's fine.
And we're looking at here is, Leo, correct me if I'm incorrect, you have existing mechanical floors that you are proposing to convert to residential floors, is that correct?
Yes,
And those mechanical floors currently have equipment in them that must be relocated, is that correct?
correct.
Right, so the thing that we're not seeing here, this is a large cost, is they use these floors for mechanical equipment, hide them in, it's all engineered and everything, that must be relocated elsewhere in the building, open up the residential floors.
Right.
And that is a real serious cost. It's not our problem, but it's a serious cost. So in other words, if there is a whole series of hot water heaters or storage tanks put in, and they're a certain location, they have to be relocated, replumbed, rewired, reconnected to create the open residential floors. Which they really.
Yeah, I was just referring to the general cost overall, even, reduction of 14 to 10 and the reconfigurations of those units, the doors, the bathrooms, that you will not need, that should reduce the cost. And that should be passed on.
But even so, it's the square footage is the thing. And then the unique part of this is the square footage has to be created by moving a lot of very costly mechanical pieces of equipment. Different look. This is so never apples to apples. This is like apples to oranges and pears and grapes. This is a very odd thing. We would ask you as you get further, as we always do in these things, the development budget and HPD will ask that too, and the operating budget, so we understand how the thing will run. That's a normal process.
But Pete, it sounds like you're saying they don't need to build 14 kitchens right now, they only need to build 10 kitchens.
Right.
So you're just
Stoves,
saying.
cabinets, that should
Yeah.
reduce the cost. That's my.
Yeah.
My
Gotcha.
basis.
Liam. God bless you.
So, it sounds like, well, not sounds like, I'd really love to see, information. What has been presented to us is that now there are gonna be 10 larger apartments, including two bedrooms, which is awesome. We definitely have some real concerns about if there's only gonna be one elevator that's gonna be shared between the residents and the hotel. We have some real security issues there, because the fact of the matter is, somebody could get on from the hotel, push a floor, whatever floor it is, not get off. It's called by somebody in the residence, and the hotel person just stayed on, And it goes down, it opens up into the residence person gets on, they go to their floor and the hotel person gets off on their floor.
They forgot something, they
Or
said, by the
whatever.
way, they run back up.
Yeah, and so, you know, there are, it's not perfect in the least. If there is a shared elevator. So I think we'd like to hear more about how we could address those security issues.
In the fire.
If there is, a plan that might work for there to be a fourth elevator that only goes to the residences, we need to see how that affects the residences themselves. You know, does it mean that some of the residences or some of the apartments are smaller because there's an elevator coming up in the middle of them or whatever it is? So we do need to understand those differences. But I would like to go back and just go back to the fact that last time you said that there was gonna be this common room, or I forget what you called it, but like a community facility on the first floor that now sounds like on the plan, though my vision is not perfect, it sounds like on the new plan, that is now gonna be used for mechanical stuff. That it's vanished from being available to the apartments, is that correct?
Right, they're no longer providing this giant room, which we don't really have much of a use for anyway, but they are providing what they do need to provide, such as storage and bicycle use, but there's no large outside community facility room.
All right, well, I think it would be lovely if we can think about some of that being available to the residents as opposed to losing the entire space, but.
Maybe we should go back to our early letters too, to see what we talked about. It was part of a broader deal.
Yeah.
But just check it out.
Yeah.
Come to JD and then back to those that spoken.
Alvin, thank you, and just two questions, sorry, I don't understand about the stairs. I don't understand how the stairs work. Are there two sets of stairs or one? There are two sets of stairs, one for the hotel and one for the residents? No, okay, that's what I don't understand. Secondly, the mechanicals that are on the residential floors, I think we did talk about vibration, noise, and how that could be mitigated. Is that still?
Yeah, as I said earlier, there will be an acoustical plan with proposed remediation prepared once the plan is finalized. But we need to know the final plan to do that, but there will be a plan.
Great, thank you. But the stairs, I don't understand how it works. In other words, the stairs go. Right.
So we will have to speak with our client and the engineer tomorrow to see what kind of plan can be arranged to secure the stairs from re-entry. There are the methods that could be, you know, alarms on the doors. I don't know if that works or not, but I'm not an engineer. We'll have to see what can be done.
So JD,
There are two sets of stairs, that's what
correct, but for this size building, you need two sets, you need two fire stairs.
right.
For every floor, two fire stairs. You cannot have one fire stair for a portion versus the other. The building is too tall, it must have two full stair towers.
Okay,
So the issue is that it's a fire stair, which means an emergency, you push and you go into it, right? When you're in the fire stair, they have to tell us, can it be locked from the inside? Is it reclocking? These are all things that they have to come back to, because we can't have someone going from a hotel, going from floor to
That's my
floor.
question.
In many hotels, you take a stair down floor to floor and you get into the next floor.
yeah, that's my question.
Right, so this is a huge issue.
And the stairs are only for emergency,
They are fire stairs, but you've been in hotels, you can walk from floor to floor.
according to the residents.
For everybody.
We don't know.
Right now, they're for everybody. They're for both groups, residents and hotel.
That's my confusion. Okay,
They're gonna figure out how the way of being able to make sure that hotel folks can't use the stairs to access the residential units and vice
And
versa.
vice versa.
Right, and vice versa. Okay. They're gonna do their due diligence.
great.
Thank you.
My question is regarding the proximity of the elevators to the units. Let's say you got guests in a hotel and they had quite a few drinks. they're in the elevator and they get lost and they start pressing the buzzers, the alarms. That seems to carry, and that's gonna be a problem. When it gets to the units, the residential units, they're gonna hear that on their end. Because they're gonna be very close to the units itself.
Now that actually not that close to the units. The entrances are down a hallway.
So the alarms are not gonna be that high or that high that they can hear. Am I correct?
I don't know. I don't know which alarms you're
That's-
referring to.
Well, actually, Alan, actually, that's not correct. Alvin, one of the studios is right next to it.
Yeah, but not the entrance. There's a wall, there's a partition.
The alarm will carry through. The alarms seem to carry quite a distance and through walls. And that's my concern at this point. Somebody's gonna press that button and it's gonna sound very loud.
Okay, but I'm not understanding the difference if this was a totally residential building.
Exactly, the same.
Well, the elevators, I'm talking about the guests who are going to be using the same elevator.
Right, but you're talking about just the nature of a hotel guest
That's right.
versus residential.
And I worked in a hotel, so I know how this operates. You can hear those alarms quite a distance.
Well, I think we're gonna ask for that together for the acoustical report then,
Yeah.
right? Kevin? No. No question. Oh, okay, sorry. Maria? Paul?
Paul Ames, yeah.
Yes, quick question, since we all have to figure out how to get both garbage and recyclables and compost where they need to be, I assume there'll be one super staff for the entire building, is that correct?
You have to get back to us, right?
Still want to, yeah. Anyway, I was wondering, did I see a mention of a garbage chute and a refuse room on some floors? I'm a little curious.
Every floor shows a refuse room with 2 garbage chutes.
Yeah.
One for recycling, one for.
Garbage, just for recycling for, a chute for recycling and a chute for garbage.
Correct.
And compost takes the hindmost, but nobody knows what compost, so it's fine.
I know, but they have to have it now.
Yes, I know.
Required.
Right, you're all in the 10 unit and above category too, by the way. Thank you, that's all.
Yes, Pete, and then Maria.
Pete,
Yeah, who's gonna clean up the building itself?
They just
Building
asked that. I wrote it down.
And I'm thinking that, are you gonna use the crew from the
They got to
hotel?
get back to us, Pete, they asked them that.
Yeah, because the union rules, am I correct? Just keep that in mind.
This is not a union hotel.
Okay.
I see online Katie has her hand up, so I'll let you go first and.
Thanks. My question, again, I'm not sure the alarms Pete was referencing, were those elevator or fire
Yes.
stair? Elevator alarms.
Elevator fire alarms, elevator fire alarms, or when someone gets stuck in the elevator, and that seems to be a problem.
Got it. Okay. And for clarification, with the fire stairs, I mean, I know from commercial office buildings that I've worked in, you have, stairs that will say no re-entry. So is that something that is legal for a hotel or residential use to have?
We don't know. We don't know.
Okay.
They have to respond to us.
Yeah, I actually raised that earlier. I thought that was possible. Somebody said, no, we'll have to look into that. It's whether that's possible.
Okay.
That's it, Katie? Yes?
Rachel?
Hi, no question, but just 2 comments. Thank you for the presentation and answering all of our questions patiently today. I think version control of the documents being shared obviously would really streamline our conversation going forward. So would appreciate any updates coming in a timely manner. Also just making sure, as one other point of confirmation, just making sure all the ongoing work going forward would be ADA compliant and accessible. Thank you.
That's required by HPD in their plan review. Maria?
Yeah, and as they're continuing to make adjustment, it sounds like just making sure they are. Thank you.
I think for the letter, we just need to highlight any issues that are related to safety for the tenants and that will impact their quality of life. I would highlight that.
I also got the information from our previous letter, and Alvin, for information, we supported the following income bands in this building. But we have them at 100, 125, and 165. And all I can note to you on the 38th Street building, they went through the same process. HPD did not allow the 165 AMI units. So I believe that if you hit that, and they pushed to have units at lower income bands. So I think you will it is my sense you would probably end up with a mix of 80, 100 and 125, given the odd circumstances here of this building.
I mean, I do not work at HPD. I don't know if how many 125s they're doing.
I'm going on the result from the 38th Street building.
But we could ask for it
Like I
based
said.
on
Right.
our previous.
Right.
We can ask for them.
So, given there's no other, Betty, you have a question? Betty? No, okay, oh, so our hand was just there, okay, got it, okay, so, I think we've had another presentation tonight. But we're not, I was expecting us to be more conclusive, we're not quite there. So, first, our letter from last night will be modified, by the way, because some of the information was based upon the old plans and stuff, so we have to just quickly update it, so it's correct.
Oh, it wouldn't be a new letter?
No, it won't be, no, we'll have a new letter, but our letter from last night has some incorrect information in it. In other words, we said,
Give me an example.
it was a footnote saying what the number of units is, it was wrong. I pulled from the wrong email.
Okay.
Just trying to correct the facts, that's all.
Number of housing units, for example.
Huh?
Number of housing units, right?
Yeah, sorry. No, but so I think that goes out now entirely, but now for tonight, right? The things, let me try to summarize and please shoot me down, add more things in. The first thing is we will know about the development rights, because that is something that is moving ahead, and we're gonna ask more questions about that for detailed and timeline and getting it settled. We definitely want to just ask the community, we'll go back to our original letter and see what we asked for the community facility and see how that fell in. If that's something, if we had a commitment prior, we should figure out what to do. The issues tonight were providing security for the fire stairs between hotel and residential and vice versa. The garbage management, how that's going to be handled. Who is going to be the actual maintenance and operation of the building. The unit, we'll confirm the unit mix. We'll confirm Alvin, you'll send us the details and a list of the apartment finishes, so we have that. You should also, I would think, de minimis draft us a commitment letter that we can review, like we do with all of our inclusionary housing developers. Of the things that you've agreed to and how you're doing it, and you've seen that those examples before, right?
Yep.
Okay. And the major issue we talked about tonight, of course, was the elevator and security and how to make it work. And I think we just need to, I'm recommending that we reiterate that we are very skeptical about the shared elevator, and that's a security issue. We want to raise that and how to deal with it, and note that we did have a plan for the dedicated elevator. The other thing we should talk about is the income band mix, right? So our prior recommendation was the 2 bedrooms at 100, to 100 AMI, 1 bedroom, 125. I'm sorry, the 2 bedroom was at 100 AMI, the one bedroom at 125, and the studios at 165, and there were more studios at that point, the studios and ones mostly. I think we're correct that 165 is not going to be approved by HPD, so we just crossed that off. And we to make a recommendation on the income bands as opposed to exactly what gets what. So that's got to be figured out. So how does the committee feel about 100 and 125? Or should we say a mix between 80 and 125? And then let that sort of get
So mix between
factored out.
80 and 125.
Right.
So my concern about knocking off 165, even if we don't think that HPD would agree to that, is it underscores the fact that that these are larger units for their AMI size, but also because of the fact that we are looking, or we constantly advocated for middle income and not just lower. So this is an opportunity where we're on record previously up to that ban. I don't know that we should change it. HPD will come back with something.
Oh, well, we can also say we can go from 80 to 165 and that HPD come back with something, because part of it is we don't. they have to, this all has to, there's so many moving pieces, it all has to work together.
Right, and it's also that moving piece, I think is helpful for this developer who's really still trying to fit all the Tetris pieces in place. That for them to maybe afford this, they need higher AMIs.
All right. I'm not adverse, I feel about that, just in general, try to figure it out. I think this, you're right, this is a Tetris puzzle.
Well, I'm looking at the salary and I would still say what my first answer was. Even though I hear what Dolores is
Why
saying.
don't you?
What was your
why don't
first
you be
answer?
specific as to-
So for New York City, for 8% AMI, as I said yesterday, it's 87,000. I'm rounding it, 87,000 annually. That's yes, for a family household of one. And I'm just using, for 165, it's 179,355. And family of 4 for 80% AMI is $1,240 and.
No, 124,240.
What did I just say?
142,000 is the income that you're talking about, or are we talking about the actual rent? What income or rent now?
Oh, I said 142. I said 142. Sorry, I meant to say, I said it correctly.
No, you meant to say 142,000.
I meant to say 124K. That's okay.
That's the point.
I don't know. I think I'm just tired. Okay. And anyway, for 165 AMI for a family of 4, it's 256, 245.
Yeah, so you're talking about two people that are the higher end of the range that have been teachers for 15, 20 years.
So what is the salary?
But let me point out, studios and ones are not for
I'm
family
sorry,
of 4.
Alvin, I was asking a question. Just give me 1 second.
Sorry.
I'm not clear on what the salary is for a teacher right now. What is the?
Depends, it depends.
Yeah, it depends how long they've been doing it.
Same with a fireman or same with a cop, they can start at a basic level, but depending on how many years it can
Yes.
grow. And they actually could get priced out of neighborhoods because the AMIs are too low. That's my only.
That's a good point.
And we
Like-
can't afford to live here.
A teacher very easily, after 4 or 5 years of seniority, can make $85,000. If they
I
have,
don't know if very easily.
no, sorry, I apologize, be more specific. When they have certain qualifications and this special ed, like it's a whole bunch of things that teachers work in the public school system to get these credentials, and that pops them up the salary rate. I have a lot of colleagues that have done that, so it's very interesting to watch that happen.
Wait, and so my last question would just be, so.
That's the only reason I'm advocating. for
Yeah,
higher
I hear you
AMIs,
and I would
because
agree
I'm
with you
thinking
then.
about folks that end up pricing out
I would agree with
because
you.
that they.
But, so my last question just becomes, if someone moves into, because where I live, I don't know if it's the same. When you move in with a certain salary and your salary increases, are you still able to remain?
Yes.
Yes, these
Yes.
are not rent subsidized.
And the rent does not change either.
The rent is rent stable, this initial rent, it's rent stabilized, and then your salary can go up or down, it's the same
It's
rent,
the unit, correct?
it's the unit.
It's the unit, not
Right.
the individual.
This is not Manhattan Plaza where you take a percentage of income. It's a rent stabilized apartment, like the one you live in.
So then I would still say 80% to the 125 or 120, whatever we said.
So you're,
That
The income
would be-
test
that would
only
be
happens
fine.
once when you apply for the apartment. There's no more income test after that.
Correct.
it looks like Katie has something she wants to say.
Katie?
It sounded like you were talking about, previously in the discussion that specific unit sizes were slotted for different AMIs. And I just want to emphasize the fact that realistically, affordable housing is not affordable for single people. So I see value in having the family units that are oversized having a higher AMI because it is hard to get large units even when you do make money. But there would be absolutely no reason to have a studio apartment at like 125, 140 AMI because you might as well just move into a market rate building at that percentage. Does that make sense?
No, the market rate buildings are actually at higher rents than those. trust me.
But there
No, I
are
understand.
No, but I'm
units
saying
on the
if-
market that you can access, I think is the point that Katie is making, not that the high end or the newest units are ultimately that rent specifically.
Yeah,
But you are served by the market.
that it's better served to have the studios be like 80%. Because if you have a studio that's 160%, my one bedroom is cheaper than what that rent is. So just affordability for single people with affordable housing is not realistic. That's just what I'm trying to get across.
So what you're proposing is in the letter that we write, just the band and not per unit.
I
correct?
say we should just say the bands,
Just
because
the band.
that this is something that's gonna be heavily negotiated with MPD, and we wanna get, here's our preference.
Right, and I think it sounds to me, if I'm reading this correctly, that we all agree generally that the language should be the band. But it sounds like there are some differences amongst us, whether the band should be 80 to 125 or should be 80 to 165. And Katie, I wasn't clear on what you were just saying. Were you saying you think the band should be 80 to 125, which is what Maria said? Or are you agreeing with what Josephine said, which is 80 to 160?
Dolores?
Dolores, sorry, I'm just
Holy
losing my
shit.
mind tonight, exactly. Are you agreeing saying 80 to 165?
I think I'm saying might as well ask for it to go all the way up. Because again,
okay.
as Alvin's saying, they are oversized units. And at the 2-bedroom at 165, the more people you have in your household, the more affordable it ends up being. Again, this is coming from someone looking at it from a single person's
Those
perspective.
4-year-olds just rake it in, I think.
But
I mean,
so-
that sort of approach generally tends to favor people who either have multiple incomes or people who are roommates, and you do end up seeing those as lottery winners.
Yeah. Like realistically, when I was at 120% AMI, rent in affordable housing is more than rent in my market rate housing. So
Right,
that's,
but that's your lens because you're in a certain kind of building. In a newly constructed building, that's not the market. The market is significantly higher in our district. So remember that always, it's significantly higher in our district.
And
so
Maria,
what
do I-
the AMI chart, doesn't that show you what the rent would be for a 2-bedroom apartment at 165% AMI?
Yes, it's also adjusted by family size.
Right.
Right, so, the family of 4 only applies to the 2-bedroom.
Correct.
For a 1-bedroom, it's either 1 or 2. And for a studio, it's the same thing. I'm sorry, a 1-bedroom can accommodate up to 3 people.
So.
Studio is up to 2 people.
Just for your information, a 3-bedroom apartment, sorry, a 2-bedroom apartment at 165 AMI, the HPD rent is 5766. Because they're calculating that's 30% of a much higher income.
And I'm sorry, say that number again?
5,766, because the income for that particular 2-bedroom unit, right, is 256,000. They take 30% of that annual income, and that gives you those rents.
For how many bedrooms is that?
Two. And that's because our what?
No, I'm just thinking like that's not realistic. I have friends, 2-family households, 2 or 3 children that I grew up with in this community.
I'm
And
talking about, they don't make $256,000.
no,
That's the point.
the friends that I'm thinking do, and they've chosen to leave and move out of this
That's why I'm
community.
advocating the higher AMI.
That's the
That's the
point.
only reason why.
But what I'm saying is that rent for this family, you can own something. Why stay in the city? It just, to me.
Well, but you can't rent something,
Oh,
but you can't rent a 2-bedroom in a new building with any amenities for 5766. We need to wake up and smell our own coffee here, guys. Our neighborhood, Hell's Kitchen and in Chelsea, it's a $7,000 or $7,500 rent.
Yes.
And if
that's
people
true.
are not
Yes.
wanting to move and own something,
Yes.
they're not only in the city, they can pick up and choose where to go. But if they want to stay here in a market rate building with a decent sized apartment and a doorman, whatever, normally you're gonna pay more. So that's why it's a percentage of income. I'm not saying that's the right thing. And Katie always says you cannot, why should it be 30% of income? Well, it is. And the reason is because our AMIs are metropolitan area,
Yeah.
not just the city of New York, and it pushes it up. And they've gone up dramatically. what was an 80% AMI years ago is a 60% AMI today. It's remarkable to watch it. We were big advocates for certain things because AMIs were lower, so of course, we want to reach people.
Well, there's been a lot of inflation that
Yeah.
reflects, and
So just to
incomes
recap,
have gone up,
Katie's
but.
trying to.
So I give in.
Can I just interject for a moment? So,
Yeah, sure.
I'm being totally transparent. I don't hide anything from anybody. I don't believe HPD is going to agree to 165 AMI because it's too, they don't like that number. And if they're not agreeing to 160 for any units, if they're not going to agree to 165 for any units, we have to make it up on the other end. And we're gonna, if that's the position they take, but we can't agree to 80% AMI. It's gonna have to be at least 100%.
They used to, because 165 was 125.
No, I'm sorry, hold on, I don't understand that point here. Alvin, you just said, since they're unlikely to agree to 165, therefore you can't do 80. Wait, what?
So
I don't
you
get
had
that.
proposed a range between 80 and 165, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, if the top one is out, then the bottom one is gonna be, it has to be more compressed on the AMIs.
They can have a deeper range. The truth of it is, let's not debate this. It is going to be an HPD pushback. We should say what we want and HPD should respond. And there will be negotiation between this developer and HPD on the whole deal.
So let's say 80 to 165, I mean.
Yeah, I think we keep it broad and just
Makes
see what
sense.
happens, you know?
Okay, that was my point.
Yeah.
Okay,
Listening to
so,
that.
so we achieve consensus,
Yeah.
right? Is there anything else to ask?
Just one concept to capture, the bike storage, not being charged to the tenants.
Yes.
Right.
No
Yeah, I
charge
know.
for bike storage.
I've had a lot of folks taking notes too about this.
And then one suggestion perhaps for next steps. And Alvin, thank you for your presentation, and listen to what Joe's delineating as follow-up.
I'm aware that I've been taking notes. We're gonna follow up. And if
Great, well,
we'll get back as quickly as we can with whatever we know and whatever we don't know.
that's where I'm going, because tonight, according to the agenda, it was supposed to be a vote, which is not gonna happen. So I'm anticipating the next meeting of this committee. What would you estimate your turnaround time to answer, we'll call it Joe's questions?
Jesus Christ.
The committee's question.
committee's question.
Committee's questions. So therefore, the committee can consider it in advance of next meeting.
Look, I have to speak to the engineer, I have to speak to our client, we have to speak to the architect. There's a lot of detail I have to get. But it's in our interest to do this as fast as possible because we want to finish this.
I guess
So,
the big question is that can you, given the time frame between now and a January meeting, we'd like to sew this up, right? That's our issue.
so would we.
Just as a mutual.
Right, no, I mean, of course, it's mutual, but I mean, before.
When is your January meeting? What is the meeting day?
January 6th.
No,
No, the
That's the
committee.
board
Oh,
meeting.
the committee meeting? Oh,
I think it's the following Monday.
oh, sorry.
January
No,
7th.
Jesse sent an email.
It's our schedule.
Is that the full board or your committee?
Did ask
Sorry, I
about
did
the
not
seven.
mean to confuse you.
Yeah, Jesse said it's gonna change our mind.
Yeah.
Is January 7th the full board or your committee? day?
So January 6th is the full board. You're looking to have them come back to committee?
Yes,
So right now, we're aiming, trying to get to January 7th.
January 7th.
Okay,
So that gives you some holiday time, another week or so.
Here's what I was getting at.
I know where you're going.
If the committee can get the feedback, and have enough time to get to you and Marie as co-chairs, some questions. And then you have a meeting that comes on January 7th, it could be a good in-depth. With clear documents discussion as opposed to.
How about we draft a letter that has a bunch of blanks in it? They come back on the 7th and we fill in those blanks. So we don't have to spend more time after that.
And we will send them that letter so that they know
Exactly.
specifically what we would like to fill in on January 7th.
Similar to they got the flip, this letter they got in advance, and they were able to then answer questions.
Maybe be more.
But now we got more questions.
so Kevin, you just had my kitty senses just go up, just letting you know, we always have to be careful about a forum, so a discussion outside of
Fair enough.
this body can't really happen on email or in gatherings.
If someone has an information question like,
Yeah, no, I'm
Oh,
just saying,
responding to questions, we can always.
how much square footage is in this first one bedroom?
I'm just saying if it becomes an email conversation around that, that's
Got it.
actually a forum and that's a problem. I just
Fair
wanted to note that
Thank
for folks that.
Albert, we really appreciate give your clients time. Oh, sorry, Roberta, sorry.
So
No, I.
Thank you.
the one thing that I was hoping to understand, like, I certainly understand that this is a potentially costly project and the timeline is uncertain. Is there, I guess, a risk that this project not be able to complete that is imminent based on this timeline?
Well, the building's mostly built, so what needs to be done is to rip out the mechanical space and put in the residential space, right?
Okay,
So
clear.
we're not building a new building though, but once we get rolling, we get the plans approved. You know, it will be done as expeditiously as possible. It's in the developer's interest to finish because they want to open the hotel and start earning money. So there's nothing in it for them to drag their feet here.
Roberta, no, the overall finance, Roberta, what happened this week also, we found out, DOB did a partial stop work order lift to get the fire, stack, not the fire stairs, the sprinkler system,
Okay.
to have the building protected. They cannot do anything, financing or what, because until they purchase these development rights, they can't even file with DOB to amend the plans. So that is sort of working in our joint favor, because they can't even proceed on that part of it. They don't
But-
own the ability to file.
But they're sitting on, they're, paying taxes, they're sitting on this building. There's no chance that the timeline is jeopardizing their ability to keep ownership of the building and ultimately open the hotel. Because I think
That's a
the
good question.
impact there would be adverse to the community if that did occur. And I just would like to understand if that is a risk, and if that is a risk, is there anything not that we can do or but that anyone can do to help?
Can you answer that first question then? Alvin?
All I could look, I'm gonna answer the question that this woman who I don't know her name, and she's not highlighted on the screen. If HPD takes a year to approve this, yeah, the job will be jeopardized. It's good, they will run out of.
Yeah, I think there's an approval process subsequent to us.
Yes.
There's gonna be a lot of back and forth, given the sensitive nature of this location.
Then that might be appropriate to add.
But let me say, HPD did promise, the assistant commissioner did promise to fast track this. However, fast track to HPD and fast track to me are two different things, you know?
I will say it's a very high risk investment.
And that was, and Alvin, that was Trisha Dietz, or was that Kim Darwin?
Kim Darwin. Kim.
Okay, that would be a deputy commissioner at this point.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
Writing the letter.
I think we're drafting a
JD's like.
letter with a lot of blanks in it. And then we're gonna put that out in December to the committee members just to look at, and then we will invite you to come back on the 7th of January for us to act, all right?
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, folks. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Is January 7th okay for the next committee meeting?
Yeah, well, I was gonna give a quick update. We have quorum at this point. I sent out an email to everybody asking if we can make January 7th, because you guys already know, many people could not make the January. The already scheduled January meeting because of the holiday. So is everybody okay with January 7th?
I won't be here, but.
Okay, I will. Yeah, I think I heard from both of you.
Really nice to meet you, still have quorum.
But I think you still have quorum.
Great.
So, all right, good.
Thank you very much.
Happy holidays, everybody.
I want to make motions to adjourn.
Thanks, guys, thanks so much.